Football then and now, a fun look at football nostalgia and the modern game intertwined. Join us. Well, this is episode 33 of Football Then and Now, a podcast about modern football with a twist of the old school as well. And my guest waiting in the wings is a good pal of mine of many years, an Aston Villa fan. It's Mr. Brady Barlow joining me on the show for episode 33. How are you, mate?
Not bad, mate. Yeah.
All good, all good. Now, obviously, I think we'll keep it on topic of Villa. You've been a huge Villa fan for many, many years. Going back, we'll go back first, I think, and just a memory that you did send me of Mr. Dion Dublin with Robbie Savage. So take it away, a bit of nostalgia here.
Robbie Savage has just been on it. I've never really liked Robbie Savage, ever. People say Vinnie Jones was a dirty player. I just think Robbie Savage was worse. And he'd been on it, Dion Dublin, the whole game. Apparently something was said. Don't know whether it was racial or what, but it took a lot to wind Dion Dublin up. You knew that, Stu. The games against Everton, you lot were always at him. Didn't wind him up once. And then just for him to turn around and just headbutt Robbie Savage. It was bad to see that he got sent off, but it was good to see Robbie Savage on the floor. But, yeah. People say, is that really a fond memory? It is when it's a player that you absolutely like and a player that you absolutely hated.
You're not a fan of his punditry either. Because obviously he's on BBC and he's on Radio 5 Live and that.
Some stuff he does, yeah, when he's kept quiet for most of it, but he just rabbits on and just talks crap most of the time.
I didn't think he was bad for Wales in the middle, though, you know.
No, he wasn't too bad. That's the only time I kind of liked him, was when he played for Wales. The rest of the time, couldn't stand him.
And obviously, I'm thinking of other times with Villa over the years. Maybe another memory, you know, a fond memory that, you know, is close to your heart even now to this day.
Oh, that video that I tagged you and Chris in the other day. The Paul Merson goal against you lot.
Oh, I didn't see it. I don't know why. I'm normally abreast of tags and when you put me in things, but no.
About 30 yards out and he lobbed your keeper.
Paul Gerrard was in goal, I think, if memory serves. I'm sure it was Paul Gerrard in goal. If not, it was Steve Simonson. But I think it was Paul Gerrard.
I think it was Gerrard.
Thanks for that. Yeah, absolutely brilliant.
God, that's some good memories, didn't we? Good games between us and you.
Yeah. There was some fantastic games, especially under Moyes at the time. You know, and yeah, we've had some fantastic games against you guys, and you know, there's been a lot, you know, there's been a lot going on with Villa in more current times as well. How do you feel it's going? You know, to be relegated years ago and to be where you are now. I've spoke to you about this off camera, haven't I? You must be full of pride the way it's gone. You know, the way they've turned it around.
We needed to go down to steady everything, get everything sorted, get rid of the so-called deadweight players, which a lot of them who didn't come back up with us, they had in the Championship. They did as well. They did us proud, and a lot of them were either coming to the age where they weren't going to be able to do it in the Premiership, and we had to go and get new, or weren't up to the standard. But yeah, with the money situation and everything, we had to go down, get the right owners in, which we have done, get the club stable, which they have done immensely, put a lot of money into it, new brand deals, the new kit deal with Adidas, and getting Emery in. I mean, I never thought we'd get a manager like him, with the calibre of manager he is. I mean, Arsenal, I don't think he got enough time at Arsenal.
No one near.
PSG, he did well. Villarreal, Sevilla. He's a proven winner. He goes in, turns teams around, gets players playing how they should play, brings the players in that he wants, which is what he's done at Villa. And some of the players that he's brought, you'd heard of if you played Footy Manager or if you'd watched the Spanish League, or but I think we had some rocky managers before Paul Lambert came in, steadied the ship. I don't think any Villa fan has got a bad word to say about Paul Lambert. He's a Villa fan at heart, still goes to watch the games. Steven Gerrard came in. We all know he was just the face. He wasn't the manager. And that proved when he lost his assistant. And we got rid of Gerrard, brought Emery in. And just what he did in the first 6 months, just to get us from where we were to where we finished. And then last year, getting us into the Champions League, the final of the conference. And this year, just pushing up. I mean, the other week, the win against Bayern Munich.
Yeah.
I never thought we would have been playing against Bayern Munich this early. But he's got the players playing how they should be. I mean, we spoke earlier about Morgan Rogers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for a player who was playing in the Championship 18 months ago, for Middlesbrough, doing well for them, coming into us. Bit part last season at the end of the season, but was showing glimpses. And then start of this season, has to be probably one of the best midfielders in the league.
I wouldn't question that either, Brady. I just wouldn't question it. And again, you got him for a snip. It was like 12 point something million, which
12.6, I think it was.
Yeah, it's a snip. It's a snip with current pricing and players, British players, English players. A masterful signing. And you're giving younger players a go. I wish Everton would do it. I don't want to talk about Everton though. There's too much emphasis on Everton at times on this show. It's about Villa.
But you are going the right way. When these owners come in with the new stadium and everything, you're going to go the right way. Keep Dyche till at least the end of the season. Give him money in January. I think you've got a lot of dead weight at that club. That's the problem. A lot of dead weight and a lot of injury-prone players. And some players that you've brought in that either haven't hit the ground or can't hit a barn door, namely Bato. But, I mean, Calvert-Lewin, he's lost his legs. It's too injury-prone for you lot. And it's a shame because he is a good player. But I think with the new owners that you're going to have, with the money they're going to put into you, you're going to be going the right way. Because look at what they've done at Roma. They've turned Roma around.
Joric, however you want to pronounce it, he's had 12 games and he's binned him off. So there's a ruthless streak with this damn freaking because he's sacking manager. He'll sack a manager. He won't even have a second's thought about it.
No.
But we need stability. We'll need stability. We'll need a manager. We'll need a manager that's going to last the course. Look what Emery's done. Look what Emery's managed to do. It's incredible and it's good. I think a lot of fans would class Villa as their second team, and going back to the Bayern game, which we've spoken about on this show various times since it happened. The atmosphere, Brady. I had the first half on the radio in work. And the atmosphere was something else.
Yeah. It's just, I mean, Villa Park on a normal game night is unbelievable. But Champions League, Bayern Munich, the team we beat in the final in 82 to win the Champions League at the time, the European Cup at the time, to have them at Villa Park with the names that they've got as well. I mean, it was just unbelievable. Something I thought I would never say until maybe later on in my years, but for what Emery's done with the players that he's got, people are saying they wouldn't be able to cope in the Champions League. We've lost one game. against Club Brugge, who are a good team at home. But yeah, to be where we are, they reckon 15 points will get you through to the next stage. We've got Juve after the international break, which Dougie Luiz coming back to Villa Park. But the players that Juve have got, that'll be it. That'll be a good game. But we've got quite a few tough games in the league in between there. I mean, I know you put the graphic up there. Palace. I wouldn't want to say an easy win because it's not. No game's an easy win. Chelsea playing well, can be a bit inconsistent at the moment, but Brentford, tough one. But I think we can get a couple of wins. Champions League, you know yourself, Shuey, it's a completely different beast. You can go. I thought we beat Club Brugge, and we end up losing to them.
It was what a farce that was though with Mings. What and I found it farcical. I couldn't believe what I was saying, and to give it, and there's been so much contention with that decision. But again, you know, imagine you'd come out of that with a draw or a win. You were virtually home and hosed for going through, weren't you? But I think because you did so well in the other three, you know, I think you can come away from it. You can do it. Yeah, I think they've shown that they can do it. What do you, out of the 3 league games there, if I had to press you for a points total across them 3 league games, what would you take now, you know, before the games and before a ball's been kicked? Yeah?
7.
Yeah.
If to say it, I go win against Palace, draw against Chelsea, and win against Brentford. That's what I think, but we all know what can happen. I mean, you've seen teams this season go and beat teams that you never thought would get beaten. Look at Forest against Liverpool the other week at Anfield. I never thought Forest would win that game at Anfield. And they went and got the 1-0 win. But we're not going to talk about Liverpool because it'll start winding me up about the game on the weekend. And we've already had that combo. Yeah, we've already had it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, again, ref decisions and stuff. It's just problems, and more time to say in the ironing out, Val, more problems occur and new things happen, and we get wound up and all the rest of it. But again, you know, if you get 7 points out of that, you'll be on 25 then.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So then it's so tight, you know, look how close it is.
Exactly. You know? I mean, you could go all the way down to, I mean, look at Brentford, 16 points.
Yeah.
Couple of wins for them, they're up there. Tottenham the same. I mean, I think United are only on 13, 14 points. And if Amaron comes in, wins the cup at first 2 games, they're straight up there. So it is quite tight. I mean, Everton are on what, 8 points now?
10. Ipswich are on 8. Ipswich got what a win for Ipswich against Spurs.
Yeah.
Spurs, you just don't know what you're going to get. I've got John. I've got John coming on Friday. Obviously, he's big Spurs nut. So it'd be interesting to see what he says about Ange, because they beat teams. They've been hammering teams, putting 4 in, and then they're getting beat. It's crazy. It's Ange. It's from what I've heard from the Spurs fans, it's this no plan B, C, or D.
No.
He plays the way he plays the way he plays, but they're good. They're good on their day. They really are. They truly are.
I mean, he has changed Tottenham's way of playing since being there. And people have always said, can managers come from Scotland into the Premiership? I mean, Martin O'Neill proved it. Gerrard, not so much. But you've had managers come from Scotland. I mean, look at the best manager of all time, Alex Ferguson. Coming from Aberdeen, down to United. They all wanted him out after the first couple of seasons, but they stuck with him, and look what he did. So I think the one problem with Tottenham is the manager doesn't have full control. That's a problem with a lot of teams these days, because you don't have a manager; they're a coach. Because they don't have, they can mention players that they want to bring in, but it's not up to them whether they come in or not. And I think Tottenham will do well. They're doing better than they did last season so far. They've got the players there. I think he's got rid of the players that he didn't want. He's brought in the players that he wants. But yeah, it doesn't. From what I've seen, he doesn't have a plan B or a plan C or a plan D. It's just sort of plan A. If that doesn't work, we're fucked.
It's aspirations for the top four for all of you, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, that is where all you clubs want to be. I can't get over Fulham. Fulham had a couple of dodgy results. They've come out the other side. They've been playing really, really well. They've been very, very good. Smith Rowe, I've spoken about Smith Rowe at length with Chris, and when we've had other guests on, he's been fantastic. What an addition. If they can keep him fit, of course. He was very injury prone at Arsenal. Brighton, I've spoken about Brighton at length as well. Hersler, what a job he's done. What a start for them. Forest losing to Newcastle, but prior to that, they've been brilliant. Everyone's really having a good go, aren't they?
Well, you look at Forest last season. They were the same as Everton. They were down there. They were struggling. Couldn't put a string of wins together. And then this season, I don't know what it is. I know they've changed their defensive too, haven't they? And a couple of other players have come in, and they're a completely different team. I mean, last season I would have had the manager nailed on to get the sack at the end of the season, but they've stuck with him, and look at what he's done. I mean, even if they go and lose a few games, they're still up there. But then you've got other teams who went and got rid of good managers. West Ham, they went and got rid of David Moyes, brought that idiot in, and they can't hit a barn door.
I think they've made. I think it was the amount of signings. I just think they've signed a lot of players in the summer. I think that's a point I would take with West Ham. Forest were very similar, weren't they? But they've settled it down now. It takes time, I think, but I think people are expecting Lopetegui to have get them up there and keep them where they've been under Moyes, but it's just not happened, has it, Brady?
No, I think he's probably got maybe 3 more games to keep his job. And Gary O'Neill's the same at Wolves. I mean, he did brilliant for Wolves last season. A British manager, doing well in the Premiership. Somebody that they know that people thought would never be able to do it. Showed a bit at Bournemouth, went to Wolves, and played the way that he wanted to play, and then lost a lot of players because apparently Wolves are struggling money-wise. Same as what Everton have been like, and that's why they've had to sell like Max Killerman and other players. They've had to sell them because they just haven't got the money. And it's a shame because he is a good manager. In my eyes, I think he's at the moment, one of the better British managers that is in the league. Him and Eddie Howe, they're flying the flag for England, really.
It's just like, how many times do you want the rug pulled from under you? If you're Gary O'Neill. Do you know what I mean? It's just like budgeting and cutting, and I think they had a good win on the weekend as well, didn't they? They won 2-0. I agree. Like we've spoken about Gary O'Neill, it's just it's crazy how he's had his hands tied behind his back almost trying to run it, but he, like you say, I I agree. He's very good coach. He's a
Yeah.
very good coach and doesn't get enough praise, actually.
No. I think he would have been probably, between him and Eddie Howe, the two better candidates that England should have gone for. Really. If they wanted a homegrown English manager, at the moment, they're probably the two better managers. I mean, I can see why they've gone the Tuchel way, because I rate Thomas Tuchel. I think he is a good manager. I think he's going to get rid of... He likes to bring the young players through, which I think England need. They've got too much dead weight, Harry Maguire. How that guy gets into any bloody football team, I don't know. But I think England, they're probably going to... They'll make it to the Nations League. Easy. I mean, they had that wobble against Greece the other week, which wasn't any fault of Lee Carsley. The players, did they think it was going to be an easy one? Maybe. But Greece, they can be a good side. I mean, you remember, what was it, the Euros, when we watched it in the Cayley that time, and Greece won against Portugal, was it?
Yeah, 2004. Yeah, they did. They did.
So you can't underestimate a lot of teams in Europe these days. And I think England will get the win tomorrow. Is it tomorrow or is it tonight?
Tomorrow night, mate, the game is.
Tomorrow night.
So they've got to go there.
Yeah.
I'm bringing up the table here as well. If you look at it, the goal difference, they're free. They're +3 ahead, Greece. So England needs to pull out the bag, and they're probably going to have to win the last game that they've got as well to top it, and hope Greece don't win the last game. It's crazy, because I thought they were going to swarm this League B. Going down from the A groups. I just thought.
Yeah.
I thought England. I didn't think they'd be 100% record over the 6 games. Don't get me wrong; they might have drawn one and won the rest. But again, playing with no striker, Brady. What were your thoughts when he did it with a false 9, like a lot of clubs do? A lot of clubs do it. What were you?
Yeah, but
what were your thoughts?
You can't, in a club format, you can get away with it. Look at Barcelona; they did it for years with Messi, because Messi wasn't an out-and-out striker. He admitted himself he wasn't an out-and-out striker, and between him, Suarez, and Neymar, they were always chopping and changing with each other, so nobody knew where they were going to pop up. But in a national team, I don't think it works. I think you need, especially against teams like Greece, you need a target man. Whether that be, I know Harry Kane wasn't fit at the time, but you had Ollie Watkins on the bench, who last season was one of the best strikers in the league. I mean, you got Cole Palmer, who can play up top. You've got plenty of players. Don Solanke. They've got enough strikers. I just feel like if Kane's not fit, they don't want to start anybody else. I just don't understand it with England. It seems like they want to focus on one striker. That's it. If they're not available, then they try something else. Just play a striker. What's the point in taking strikers and having them on the bench to not play them? So I think if Kane's not fully fit tomorrow, I'd probably start with Solanke, or I'd start with Watkins, and then bring Kane on later. Or start with Kane and then swap him at half time, or swap him like most managers do at the 60-minute mark or something.
They were all over the place at the back in that game. Levi Colwill. It was Levi Colwill and Stones. The whole back four that day, actually.
Yeah.
It was a comedy of errors at the back, which scuppered it. I know Pavlidis took the 2 goals well.
Yeah.
They got it level. and you know, he's had a big move to Benfica from RZ.
Yeah.
You know, he looks a talent. He's only 25, and he took his chances well. He looked sharp the whole game. You know, hopefully now they know what they've got to do with him. They've got to keep him quiet, because if he gets a chance, he'll bury it from what I saw.
Yeah. But England's problem tomorrow night is now they've had what, eight is it 8 players go home now? Yeah, Grealish, Foden, I think it's 7 or 8 players have all dropped out, which means I think they've only brought 6 players in. You've had 8 drop out and you're bringing 6 in. And you're bringing, and like, I just don't understand what, I do think England will get the win. I think they haven't got John Stones because he's out injured. I mean, they were starting with Mark Ahey and he's not playing at the moment. It's like he had a good tournament last tournament.
He was arguably their best player in the tournament.
Exactly.
You know, he really was. He acquitted himself fantastically, because I wrote him off, but I had sour grapes because obviously Branthwaite didn't make it.
Yeah.
So maybe that was me being a bit sour, but I turned around and said, look, I got it wrong. He played very well. But like you say, where's the continuity? You know, it needs to be settled, doesn't it? Sometimes you need to have your settled players. I didn't think Carsley was going to get it anyway. I've got to be honest with you. I never thought, but had it gone better, would he have got it? I don't know. But I was never of the thinking that he was going to get it full time anyway. What was your
Carsley said he didn't really want it. He didn't think he would be ready for it. He said he'd take it in the interim, but didn't want it full time because he doesn't feel like he'd be able to take England any more forward at the moment. I mean, he's doing brilliant with the under-21s, so he knows the young players coming through, and apparently he has been having discussions with Tuchel about the players that are in the under-21s that he feels would make it in the first team. So they are moving forward to start dropping the older players or the more inconsistent players or the players that just aren't getting games at the club but still get into the England squad, which I've never understood. And England have always been the same way. It's always been the top 6. Top 6 teams have always had. I mean, we saw it back in, was it 2006, the World Cup, and Ledley King went?
He did the Euros in 2004, and I would assume, yeah. I can't off the top of my head remember.
I think it was Japan when they played in Japan.
2002 was Japan and South Korea.
That was it, yeah.
Germany was 2006.
And I remember me, you, and Chris talking about it and saying, why are they taking Ledley King, who is admitted himself at the time, could only play 1 game a week? So why take a player when you're going to be playing in the space of a week, 2, maybe 3 games, and you're only taking a player who can play 1 game? But then, you've got Harry Maguire again, who's not playing for United, but gets into the England squad, who's extremely inconsistent player. Very good.
It's okay. I got you back.
Literally, I would put a fridge in the back 4 instead of Maguire.
I don't mind him, but he does split opinion. I think he's come up with goals, especially for United. But he does split opinion. I totally see where people are coming from. I don't actually mind him. I think a big thing that's hindered him was that big price tag that they paid Leicester. That was a big thing. But all these England managers seem to pick him, don't they? But
yeah,
I don't get on his case as such, but I know many that do. You know, like yourself.
It's not just him. Like over the years, the managers have always gone for the same players.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even when they're completely inconsistent for their league team, doesn't matter who they're playing for, it seems like they've had England managers that either don't have the balls to drop those players because they don't want to annoy the so-called big teams, or they just love them. I mean, I know Southgate always used to say that he had a soft spot for Maguire because he played better, he played well for England. This and but then you've got players like Ezri Konsa for us. For 2, maybe 3 seasons, was probably one of the better central defenders in the league, but couldn't get a look in. Braithwaite, for you, last season, probably one of the better defenders in the league.
He was consistent for so much of it, and we had the second most clean sheets. Not just him, it was the setup. That's one thing I'll give Dyche. Dyche gets criticised about Dyche ball, but we've brought back the clean sheets again. But Braithwaite, I was gutted about. I think this time round, obviously, he got called up, didn't he, late? Obviously, because of all this going on, but he's not been back long. So ideally, I don't want him starting tomorrow night, Brady. I do not want him starting tomorrow night. Ideally, we need him. He needs to get over this injury spell that he's had. But I did feel for him because I think he is. And like yourself with Konsa, we watch these players week in, week out, don't we? We know exactly how they tick, what they do. We're not dropping in and out. We're not a fan of another club. We know, you know him and I know Braithwaite respectively. And Konsa's been consistent from what I've seen.
Well, the average Konsa, especially, on average, only has, I think it's 5 players dribble past him per season. One season, he only got dribble past twice, but couldn't make it into the England squad. And I think with Tuchel coming in now, I think it would have been better for Tuchel to come in like now instead of after, if England qualify or not, so he could get rid of players that he doesn't want and try the youngsters or other players that he would want to use. Because otherwise he's going to be coming in and trying to get players ready for qualifying for the next tournament. It just doesn't. I don't know if he's had commitments or if there's a time scale where he can't come in, but I think England will do well under Tuchel because he's not scared of ruffling some feathers and pissing people off.
Absolutely.
Dropping the so-called big players on the big money. He's not scared of that. I think you'll see a different type of England under Tuchel to what you've seen previously.
Definitely. Can I press you? Can I just press you for a prediction for tomorrow night then?
2-1 England.
Yeah, that's fair. I think they'll do it. It's tricky going over there. It's tricky. The tricky game. But I think they'll sort it out, won't they? I think they'll realise where they went wrong at Wembley.
I think group as well. They'll look back at the last game and think, they're a pushover. We can do that again. And I think England have got, even the players that they've brought through, because of the others that have had to go home through injury or illness, whatever they've gone home for, there's a lot of talent in that England squad. And everybody's always said it since '66, England should have won something. With the players that they've had, with the calibre of players that they've had, they should have won something by now.
It's crazy, isn't it? When you look over, 20 plus years, the golden generation in '06. It was a case of like, and I know four because they played France off the park in that group game and ended up losing the game. Rooney had 2 ram in his arse pocket. And he said as much, and it was crazy, wasn't it? Things happen in games, don't they? We know this. It's just how many times And Southgate, try as he might, he comes in for a lot of criticism, but he was so close so many times, and I did feel for him. I did feel for him in some respects. I think criticism, very heavily criticised, but they were getting to like finals, semi-finals.
Yeah.
I just think unjustly criticised Southgate in some respects, Brady.
Yeah, for what he did. Well, for what he did when he came in, because initially he was only supposed to do what Lee Carsey's doing. He was only coming as interim, but got the results that got him the job. And at the time, he had the players fit and well that would get them as far as they got. There was always that one team that would either just nick it or just had that one or two, I don't want to say better players, but maybe more experienced or just wanted it more. Even though England have wanted it since '66 and they don't shut up about it, but I think Southgate, I liked him at Middlesbrough. I think he is a very good manager. I think if he goes back into club games as a manager, is he going to be able to do it? I think if he was Southgate, I'd probably just leave it as it is.
Yeah.
I think he's got a very good track record. Like you said, semi-finals with England, finals. Yeah, he didn't win them, but he did the best that he could.
But the thing is, right, defensive and all the rest of it, and then Lee Carsley went to attacking. They need to. I'm sure Tuchel will find the balance, won't he? It's just like two totally different ways of playing. With the 4 games that Carsley's had, you can't always gauge it on 4 games. That wouldn't be fair. He's been trying, and to his credit, he was trying different things. But he's had a go.
He's trying with the players that he had that he's got at the moment. He probably couldn't play the way that he wanted to play with a lot of the games.
No.
So he sort of had to wing it. Yeah, they got the 3 wins and the 1 loss. Could they have done something different against Greece last time? Yeah. He tried something different. It didn't work. But we all know what Lee Carsey's like. Doesn't listen to anybody else. And could he have brought a striker on? Should he have brought a striker on earlier? Yeah. But would it have got them the game at the time? With the way Greece played, I don't think England played bad, but they didn't play well at the same time.
No, they were caught out. They were caught out, hook, line, and sinker. Definitely, Brady. I just want to move us along.
Go on.
Wales, obviously, we'll be waiting. We'll want to see Wales, of course. Saturday at 5:00, they go away to Turkey. Turkey made a good account
Very tough game.
at Euro 2024. Like they were good. They're a good team, and we got a point obviously in Cardiff at Cardiff City Stadium. But we'll go through this one quickly because of time. Obviously, and I'll pull the table up as well. But it's going to be very tricky. But again, Craig Bellamy, Brady, 2 wins and 2 draws, so he's had a solid start. He's had a decent start, hasn't he?
He's had I think for his first senior job, really, I think he's done really well. It's a position that he's always wanted. I saw an interview with him this morning, and he was talking about how he's took different styles of management from different managers. So he said he was going on about how Gary Speed started the way Wales play, and obviously he played under Gary Speed at the time, so he sort of kept that in the way that Robert Page and others have kept it in. But he said he also looks at the modern type of manager. So, like he mentioned Unai Emery, the way that he's doing it. And at the moment, Wales are still on kind of a rebuild because we had that all the youth come through, the Gareth Bales and everybody coming through, playing with each other for years, did what they did at the Euros, just missed out on the World Cup. And I think they're on a rebuild again. But 2 wins, 2 draws in the last 4. I think that's pretty good for your first 4 games, really. And 2 of those teams aren't exactly bad teams. Iceland had a very good tournament a few years ago. Have sort of dropped off, but are still a good side on their day. Montenegro, very hit and miss because they're Montenegro. Turkey, they had a good tournament last time. Got a lot of good players, and I think it'll be a tough game on Saturday. Would I like to see Wales win it? Of course I would. I would take a draw happily, but it's going to be a very tough game.
I'm looking at the goal difference again here. They're 3 behind on goal difference, aren't they? So they need to win. They need to win. But I get, historically, Turkey away is a tricky ask. It's a very tricky ask. Yilmaz, they've got the players, haven't they? But what I would say, Brady, Harry Wilson and Brennan Johnson are in form.
Playing very well at the moment.
They're in form, and they're going to have to. They're going to have to be the ones now to take it forward. We don't score many goals, even when we have Bale in the team. We've scored 5, and we've only conceded 3 in the 4. We're pretty tight. We're pretty good at the back, aren't we? We always have been in more recent times. It's always been a bit of a problem getting the goals, hasn't it? Which Turkey have obviously put goals in. But what do you think? Do you think we can go there and beat them?
I'd love it if they did go there and beat them. I think they can, but like you said, playing Turkey in Turkey, I mean, their fans are something else. They are. I can see a draw. I'd love a win. They need the win, but I can see a draw.
I just think if we were to go back into the A groups, we've already done that. I just think I do class as a B group team, and that's no disrespect to the lads. I just feel when we're in this, I feel Group A is a bit of a stretch. We've been in there. We were in there. They've had to go. They've had to go. But I think that's the barometer.
That's the thing. Going into the A groups, you're taking on the best in Europe, which Wales have done, and they have beat a few of them. But could they go in there and play the likes of Spain? No. Spain at the moment are ridiculous. I mean, France, they've got a very good team. Germany. I mean, you look at the teams that you got in the A group. I think Wales are better in the Bs. The A's, it's just that step too far. Honestly, I think even if we had Gareth Bale and Aaron Ramsey peak form back in the youth, still wouldn't have been able to have done it.
I think I think obviously with Rob Page, he'd run his course, hadn't he? He really had. He'd give it a good go. I think it was just. I think he was given longer than a lot of people expected. Actually, I think people were expecting him to go after the World Cup. And he stayed on. I thought he would have a bit longer.
I thought he would have gone at the end of the World Cup, but then there was talk about maybe giving him another tournament, see how he does. But then apparently there was an agreement where if he didn't feel it was right anymore, he would walk away or he'd step down because he didn't feel like he could take him any further, which is what's happened. And for Rob Page, a completely unknown to a lot of people, to go in and do what he did with the players that he had for a smaller country was unbelievable. I mean, you ask a lot of people before the Euros and everything, could they point Wales out on a map? No, they couldn't. But after, I mean, people loved them. Same with Iceland. Small countries who just play their heart on their sleeve and don't get the money that the so-called bigger countries get. And for Rob Page to do what he did with the caliber of players that we had, who you take out Aaron Ramsey, Bale, maybe Ben Davis, and a couple of others. No disrespect to them, we're championship and lower players, and they all held their heads high. Robert Page walking out of there, he had to walk out with his head held high. And I think with Bellamy coming in now, who's played for Wales, is Welsh through and through, wants to take them further, but has admitted in interviews it's going to be difficult. And going back to this Saturday, it's going to be difficult.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm with you. I'm with you on it. And we look forward to the games. Obviously, tomorrow night, Greece versus England. And then Saturday at 5 o'clock, it will be Wales, which will be on S4C. You can get English commentary on S4C now because we're not on Premier Sports or whatever it was. So you can switch. You can switch it on the red button because it did on the last games in October. I noticed that. It's like, yes. But if you're patriotic, keep the Cymraeg, keep the Welsh commentary on. Brady, thank you so much for coming on so last minute.
No worries, buddy.
Thank you so much. I've enjoyed this. It's been great getting you on. Villa are doing fantastic. I'm sure they'll get back to where they need to be domestically. You know, it's very tight. It's very tight. But they're trying to balance. You're trying to balance Champions League, aren't you? You know.
Yeah.
So they've done fantastic, and I think, like I say, I think there are a lot of people's second club. You know, people like watching Villa. They really do.
Well, you've had a soft spot for Villa for years, Stewie.
Yeah. You know, they're a working class. They're a working class blue collar club. So you know, I can get on board with that. I can get on board with that. But yeah, Brady, thank you so much for coming on for episode 33 of Football Then and Now. We are also on the Sport Social Podcast Network, Europe's biggest sport podcast network. And as you can see there, over 500 podcasts and counting. They do a great job with us all on there. They're fantastic. If you want to join the Sports Social Podcast Network, please give them a message on social media and they can sort all that out for you. They can put all your audio up and you can be available everywhere. Just had to get the plug-in for Sports Social Podcast Network there before we went. So bye-bye, everybody. Brady, thank you so much again, mate, for coming on. And we'll have you on.
No worries, buddy.
I'll have you on again before the end of the season, and hopefully you're in the top 4.
Hopefully, yeah. Or in the Champions League final.
Take care, everybody. Football Then and Now, a fun look at football nostalgia and the modern game intertwined. Join us.